everybody. My name is Keely Spring. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. And this is my podcast where I get to interview and meet fellow clinicians all over the United States here. And in an effort to kind of share with you what it's like to be a clinician and why we choose to do this work and the work that we do. And so to that end, I have with me today Christina. Christina and I just meeting.
Yeah.
Christina, just to kind of open it up, maybe we could have you just introduce your niche, what populations you work with, kind of where you're located, the basics that somebody might want to know.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Keely. I'm so excited to be here, first and foremost. I'm Christina. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have two physical locations here in San Francisco. But as just work with people in the state of California, primarily San Francisco. I'm also getting licensed in New York State. So I'm slowly going to build that out. So I do in-person and virtual work. It's always interesting, right, to say like I specialize in, but I guess we do, right? But I focus on trauma work with, I do trauma work with survivors. I also work a lot in attachment and relationships.
Mhm.
All where those two things overlap is actually really interesting to me as well in my work. I work with adults, I work with couples, and I work with adolescents and families actually doing the attachment
Oh my
work. So
goodness.
yeah,
All of it.
yeah, not kids anymore. I used to work with
Sure.
kids back in the day, which I love that work. But yeah, not working with little ones anymore. But yeah, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I do. Yeah.
So families like teenager and above kind of thing, or
Yes, exactly. I started I guess we'll kind of jump in, but I was at Huckleberry Youth Programs here in San Francisco,
Mhm.
which is like all things teen.
Uh-huh.
So I found myself doing these family therapy sessions multiple times every single day. And so I'm like, oh yeah. So it was primarily with teenagers and their families, but now I'm also doing adults and families. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so let's definitely dive in and talk
Hmm.
about your journey. Why did you decide to take this path, or how did you kind of come to decide to be a clinician?
Yeah. It was so funny. I think I feel like a lot of people say this, but I'll say it again because it's my story. I was in high school. I've always kind of been interested in psychology and all that. But I was in high school. I was a senior, and I only needed credits. I didn't even necessarily need to do like a humanities class or what have you. But I was always interested in psychology. Took the psych course. It was so amazing and interesting. My teacher, the professor, I guess it was in high school, so I'll call him the teacher, but was so interesting and just knowledgeable and treated us like adults. It was just like a very different style class, but I loved the content and that got my wheels turning. I'm like, gosh, I have always kind of loved psychology, and the thought of being a therapist, for example, was always very interesting to me. Last second, though, I went to college. Last second, took a huge left turn and majored in advertising in communication.
Okay.
Totally different communications and advertising. Did 4 years of that, but with that major, you also had to take what's called an allied discipline.
Mhm.
So one of these different subjects, and mine was psychology. So the whole time, I still was taking those courses. Long story short, funnily enough, at the end of my 4 years of undergrad, I was like, oh, advertising is kind of evil. I don't really want to do that. But was in marketing for a while, for a long time. And then eventually was like, you know what? I have always wanted to be a therapist. I'm going to go back to school to be a therapist. And so, yeah, that was all these years ago.
Love it. Love it. So kind of leads to my next question. What is it that you like about being a clinician?
Yes, I am so lucky. I love my job and my work. I think a lot of us feel this way. I love it's just so rewarding. And so selfishly for me, I love the feeling of, wow, I'm putting in this work and I am literally helping people, and it's not an ego thing. It's like I'm really watching people change patterns that no longer serve them. I'm literally watching people be like, oh, that's why I'm doing this. I don't want to do this, or, whatever it is. And it might sound cliche, but I love being able to just be a support system to folks,
Hmm.
and really empower them and kind of let them, realize they can live the life they want to live. So that's one of the things I love about being a clinician.
Yeah, I resonate with that a lot. I think sometimes I always think of this as like the ripple effect. Like if you can help one person, it helps them in their relationships, but then helps maybe the person that's in the relationship with them or their families. And there's this kind of,
Yes.
impact that you can make just from the one-on-one or the couple session or family session.
Absolutely, the ripple effect. I love how you said that. Yes, and when I think about that, I'm like, wow, this is really bigger, or what have you. But I couldn't agree more. And then I think drilling down a little bit just for me and my trauma work, I'm like, wow, it feels really freaking good to support someone in undoing literal generations of trauma, intergenerational trauma and patterns. And I'm always just so in awe of my clients. I'm like, for you to break that is amazing. So yeah, that's what I would say too.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Hmm.
Okay, so talking about trauma, what are some of the modalities that you might use with somebody who's experiencing trauma?
Yes. So I have a background in expressive arts therapy, which yeah, I went to school for it. It was one of the focus of my program. But so I really do still use that. And I think when I say expressive arts, a lot of people are like, oh, you draw? And I'm like, sometimes, like, yeah, if a client is called to drawing, sure. But that also means a lot of other things. It means, even journaling can be looked at this app, but it means poetry or writing lyrics or movement or any of the modalities under the umbrella of expressive arts. I still love to use because it is just accessing a different part of our brain. Creativity, having us express things is just beautiful to watch people do.
Hmm.
Um, but to the trauma, but not only with trauma, I love brain spotting.
Ah, okay. Can you tell me a little bit more?
Yes, I am like totally, I don't want to say drank the Kool-Aid. That's like a terrible thing to say, but I really love this modality. So brain spotting is, for those who don't know, it's similar to EMDR work. So, we're using bilateral stimulation of the brain, and we don't have to get too far in it, but the overall gist is where we look, like literally in space, where we look affects how we feel.
Hmm.
Um, the eyes are connected directly to the limbic system of our brain, which, is the storer of things like trauma, emotions, feelings, maybe things that are not in our, not so easily accessed by our memory or what have you. So what brain spotting does, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I will assist a client finding a spot for themselves, whether that's an activation spot where they can process something like trauma or shame or what have you, negative self talk, anything.
Hmm.
Or, for example, an expansion spot, which is like, this I feel really good looking at, this over in this direction. I'm going to work from that lens so I can actually like do some work. Anyway, um,
Kind of that window of tolerance is what you're talking about, that they can be within it.
exactly, helping the client support themselves to either look at this trauma or whatever in this window of tolerance where they can actually sit there
Mhm.
and not be re-traumatized. Exactly. There's a ton more about it, but I love brain spotting. When I'm certified in brain spotting, and when we had to do that, we also have to be the client.
Sure.
And I could not, I was like, wow, this stuff really works just for me. So anyway, I really like that as well.
Hmm. Can you give me a little bit more around, because Jen talked a little bit about in her interview that we both got,
Yeah.
talked a little bit about brain spotting as well, but I don't know that I went into like so many details. Could
Mhm.
you kind of give it like what is the course of, EMDR is in 8 phases, are
Right.
there certain phases to this? Do they have certain protocol? Is it a long-term kind of lots of sessions, or can you give me
Right.
a flavor of some of those things?
Totally. And And you're talking about brain spotting
Yeah, yeah,
specifically?
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, so I love the structure of EMDR. I know that it's like so effective and it's really, really helpful. What I love about brain spotting is just a little bit more open. I have clients, we do brain spotting only. And
Mhm.
we can do brain spotting long term every single session until there's some healing, and usually that comes. I have clients who will intersperse, like, hey, let's do one brain spotting session today. I haven't done it in 3 months, but I want to revisit XYZ. We'll do that. There's really no rule, no
Okay.
set
Yeah.
rule. And the reason I love brain spotting as well, because of that sort of flexible nature of it, is it's really person centered, meaning I am not telling someone what to do necessarily.
Mhm.
I am not, as a clinician, what we know about trauma is we don't want to take that power and control back, right? So I am not, as a clinician, which is maybe it happens in EMDR, I'm not saying, look here, look here, look here. That's very directive. It's like, do as I say, which can actually be, I'm not saying EMDR is re-traumatizing. I just love the aspect of brain spotting that it's like, it's person led. What do you feel like doing? Well, this, oh, not today, Christina. Great. And so it's just very open and
Mhm.
flexible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I've been trained in Hakomi.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
so interested in that. Oh,
it's great. It's great. But it reminds me of that a little bit. It's like it's
okay.
supportive without like the whole point of Hakomi is that you support the defenses,
Yeah.
and you let the person decide which way they want to go rather than being more kind of directive to your point. So it sounds like
Beautiful.
there's a little bit of that. And then I noticed another similarity, which I just want to highlight if we can, is you mentioned the limbic system, which is something
Hmm.
that Hakomi kind of ties into as well. Could you just kind of explain to, listeners who might be as less familiar with kind of how that is tied into everything, just kind of a high level view of it?
Totally. Yeah. And I love that Hakomi decide to, we always want to research and learn more, right? And I think
Right.
Hakomi is on my radar. But yeah, I always do my kind of little brief hand model. I'm sure it's like some people have seen this, but if this is the brain, the fingers on top are representing the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic, reasoning, 2 + 2 = 4, etc. Things we can recall. Down here, we have the sort of like reptilian brain, survival, breathing, also getting to somewhere safe, things like that. And in my very brief little hand model, the limbic system is actually, more in the middle, sort of inside of the brain, which is represented by the thumb. And so I always tell people, so if we're talking about trauma or shame or negative cognitions or internal working models, what have you, what do you think is easier? This is just kind of on automatic largely, but what do you think is easier to access, like this or this? And everyone's like, well, of course up here, that's easy, which is correct. And so the limbic system is actually in here, not always conscious, not always something we can access or recall on a dime. Like, oh, I'm gonna recall that trauma that happened, when I was in third grade. It's like sometimes it's not even in our consciousness, but the holder of trauma, emotions, feelings, it's sort of like in between the very reptilian and then like overthinker, but it's responsible for holding so much of what we hold. But that's my little hand model. That's the limbic
Love
system is very important.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you. I think I think it's a good demonstration of what's going on there. So,
Right, right.
okay, so we kind of talked a little bit to this, but typical session, you were talking about the brain spotting. I'd
Hmm.
imagine it's maybe, different individual versus couple versus, you mentioned attachment work, you mentioned families. Could you just kind of tease out a little bit like how a typical session with each of those models might come about for you?
Totally. And do you mean with brain spotting in particular
Oh,
or just in general?
just in general, because I would
Yeah,
imagine that it might be, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't been certified in brain spotting, but that like with a family, it might be harder to do spotting just because you got so many different people
totally.
spotting.
Yeah, totally. You're right. And we technically can, but yes, anyway, that's like brain spotting specific. But in general, um, Yeah, every session, as we know, can kind of look a little bit different. My overall model is, again, sort of asking people where they're at. What I like to do is for actually for individuals or couples or families is just say like, hey, how are we doing? And I'll actually provide a really quick recap of what we did last week. We're always kind of thinking about our overall goal for therapy, goals that comes from the client. Um, and sometimes I'll say, yeah, last week we talked about XYZ, but that was then, this is now. How are you doing? Or something like that. And I kind of follow the client. And sometimes they're like, yeah, let's pick up where we left off. And sometimes they're like, Christina, you will never believe what happened on Wednesday. We have to talk about it. I'm like, great. So that's just kind of how I start therapy sessions. But yeah, in attachment work and individuals versus couples and families, obviously very different. Couples, we're obviously going to treat the relationship as the client
Mhm.
as opposed to you and you. Like, yes, there's two individuals, but so we're going to focus and highlight on what the relationship is needing. Actually, similar with families as well. But yeah, that's the overall kind of gist. Where do we start? We go from there. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of helping people week to week.
Mhm. Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure if,
yeah, yeah, it
yeah.
totally does. It totally does. I haven't done family work since I was, getting my hours. It's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious myself. What kind of things do families come in normally to kind of talk about or talk through? Is it trauma related or is it, other types of things that might be more topics of interest?
Yeah. Such a good question because it's kind, I don't want to have like give a generic answer, but it's kind of all of the above. It is definitely trauma. This happened to one member of our family either acutely or 20 years ago. And, we're still seeing it with my teenagers, obviously, with my adolescent clients and their families. It's a lot of there is this really hard time in adolescence, and I don't recognize my teen, or
Yeah.
they're shutting me out, or this real, they they failed 3 classes, or so they're coming in with sort of the adolescent often as the identified patient, meaning this needs, they need attention, but it's also creating tension with us. Like, how do we repair?
Mhm.
Um, that's often what I see with adolescents in particular. But yeah, it's how can we move forward after infidelity,
Ah,
even in the family? Obviously with couples that's more common, but it's really like, or you know, there's been a loss, there's been grief, like a death in the family, for example, and everything's changed. How do we, or it's very specific, like I found out that this member of my family was lying to me for 5 years. How do we move through? Or I haven't talked to my siblings, Christina, in 15 years. We'd like to come together and do that with you. So it's kind of everything.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I primarily work with adolescents and their families since that is usually around something specific.
Uh-huh. All right. Interesting. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
dated dabbling because I kind of like I love the sibling like adult siblings. Like I've
Yes.
thought about like it'd be interesting. It sounds like you do a little bit of this work to work with adult siblings to kind of
Yeah.
heal some of that, stuff that happens.
It's the stuff that happens. And the reason I love attachment so much too is because it's like, okay, I always say it's rarely about the thing.
Uh-huh.
It's real, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it's very specific, like, hey, this happened, we need to talk about it. But I'm like, wow, we're raised, a lot of these clients were raised in the same household together.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, stuff went down,
Totally.
like we can talk about the today, but in my work at least, I'm like, we gotta look back there though too,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that's informing what we're talking about today. So yeah.
100%. Yeah. Um, just a little bit about myself. My sister is actually a clinician as well here.
Oh my gosh.
So it's actually been very healing for us because we're
Yeah.
both clinicians and we've been able to like have those conversations. But that's part of why I was like, gosh, it'd be so fascinating to kind of work with siblings to your point of like all the things that you're saying of like stuff that's kind of enacting now, but is from the past or
Totally. Oh my gosh, I love that you and your sister are both they're clinicians. That's great. I'm sure there's so many interesting conversations that come out of that.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so pivoting a little bit here,
Yeah.
are there any things that surprise you still about therapy, being a clinician, whether in the actual role or, I don't know. Sometimes I get questions outside of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think like absolutely a lot of things still surprise me. I think even in this day and age, and maybe I'm in a bubble in San Francisco, but I'm still surprised where I'm very glad we're sort of moving away from this overt social stigma of therapy. You're this, you're sick, you're messed up. Where that's great that we've moved away from that. I'm still surprised to hear it sometimes. I'm like, and again, maybe I'm in my bubble, but I'm like, wait, really? It's 2025, but having said that, really holding like the cultural piece as well, like I'm first generation Mexican American, and oh yeah, like culturally, that was like you like literally you are crazy if you go talk to someone. And so anyway, and I don't like that term, but all that to say is that still surprises me. I am still so surprised in a wonderful way about just people's resilience and their ability. And like, I'm like, how are you functioning? And then maybe we'll talk about over functioning, but I'm just still surprised that people are just resilient and awesome and dynamic. And yeah, that's a surprise. It is and it's not, but it still surprises me in a good way. Like, wow,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing some really big work here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I can resonate with that a lot.
No. I
Yeah.
remember actually, it was our supervisor that I had with Jen, who you know. I remember coming to her, just brief aside, um, about a client, and I was stuck on something. And like, what would, supervision, right? Getting assistance with that. And she just looked at me and she kind of like chuckled and smiled. And I was like, what did I do wrong? And she just goes, Christina, never forget, people are freaking amazing. I was
Love
like,
it.
thank you, Nora. And yeah, anyway, I just think of that in my head now.
Uh-huh.
People are freaking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, and then also just briefly, yeah, I'm still surprised by I love this work. I love psychodynamic work, just kind of tuning in to ourselves as a therapist as we're doing this. And yeah, I am so still surprised by a lot of what comes up for me. And we do our own work and have our own therapy and all that, but I still surprise myself. I'm like, oh wow, okay, so I am feeling this right now. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I always think my husband sometimes can tell he's like, tough day today or
Oh,
something because I'm just like more depleted than normal and it's
yeah,
it's fine, but it's just they've been, heavier sessions than normal or something's come up or, something on it. We're in it with the people that we're,
totally, totally.
or at least I'm rooting for them, like
100%. Oh, that's so sweet of your husband. He's so attuned.
that's kind of
Yeah,
choice.
totally, totally, totally. Yeah.
Um, okay, so is there anything that you wish people knew or understood about therapy?
Yes. I think just briefly going back to what I said about the stigma. Yeah, I just wish everyone knew and understood that yes, it is very helpful, can be very helpful. It's for you. It's not because there's something, it's not because someone has a deficit that they have to go to therapy. I think in a lot of cases it's such a actually it's progressive, it's a goal. It's I want to sure I want to heal from trauma or what have you, or I want to be able to sleep again, or like, um, but also it's just people working on themselves to be better people and achieve any goal. So I do wish everyone knew that. I also have been hearing this a lot lately, and I don't know if you've had this experience, Keely, probably you have, but there's this language around how um, what advice is the therapist going to give me? Or like the therapist needs to tell me how to do X, Y, Z. Or like, well, I'll just ask my therapist and they'll tell me what to do. And I wish people understood it's like, that's not what we do,
At all?
right?
Yeah, yeah,
We don't give advice in terms of, like you need to do X, Y, Z. Here's why. No, we are sounding boards and we empower the client. And we're very much like, if someone's like, what do I do, Christina? I'm like, there's often another question or
Yes.
well, what are you thinking about doing? You're right. So I just wish people understood it's not like us
Yep.
dictating how people live their lives.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that because that does come up for, I've had it happen more than once. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think people can get frustrated, but the reality is if the answer is coming from me, then it's just coming from me. The person, like the reason that we do that, because I can understand, sometimes I'll hear from people and they're like, oh, it's so annoying that therapists don't just tell you like what you
Yes.
do, right? And the reality is, if you get the person to figure out what is the best course for them, then
Mhm.
they own it. It feels more kind of natural or incorporated into who they are and their own psyche that they
Right.
can then own that. And I'll give a quick example. I had a client years ago. She always wanted me to tell her what to do. And
Mhm.
she's like, my previous clinician always told me what to do, Keely. And I was like, well, okay, so that's
Uh-huh.
how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
But she would come with like markers and she wanted to go like day by day, play by play of everything that she should do in the day because she didn't trust herself. And
Hmm.
I kept pushing back because she kept getting really mad at me. And then like 3 months later, she came back in and she was like, "You were right. I needed to like own the what I was,
Oh,
needing to do versus
yeah.
you just telling me what to do. I wouldn't have learned how to, soothe myself or how to get through it or how to build
Wow.
that resiliency that you were talking about earlier, right? So I
Wow.
I think it can be a confusing thing for people, but I love that you
Yeah.
brought up this point because it really is actually the work is not telling you what to do.
Right. Exactly. That's a beautiful example. And I think I had a similar client just briefly. I remember she was like, it was a similar frustration, but it was around a relationship and a boyfriend. It's sort of like, do I stay or do I go?
Mhm.
And finally, she just said, I was really proud of her. She was like, this is so frustrating. Like, just tell me, like you're beating around the bush or something like that. And I said, okay. So if I said, you, you, you got to stay with him and here's why. Or if I said, you have to break up and here's why. And you did any of the opposite thing or a gradient of it,
Yeah.
how would we be?
Yeah.
And she was like, I might be embarrassed to come back to you. And I'm like, okay. So anyway,
That's
remind me of
100%.
that too.
100%. Have you watched that show Shrinking?
Yes, I actually been late to the game. I just started. So good.
Okay. So have you gotten through the first season?
I'm almost through the first season.
Okay. So I will not spoiler alert it
Okay,
for
thank you.
you.
Thank you.
But after you watch it, like what we just talked about, you're going to be like, oh, there's an
Oh,
example in there of
I'll
why you
clock it.
don't do that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's there for a reason. Yes.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So final question in this section.
Yeah.
Is there a tool or something that we could share with the audience that people could access that might be something that people could use? Just kind of doesn't have to be in depth or anything, but
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like I have so many. I'm like the feelings wheel. Like everyone is I preface it by saying, don't please don't feel infantilized. I give this to my most of my adult clients. It's just really quick reminder, like we're so in our heads and we're busy and the world and everything. And sometimes it takes a little extra energy to just slow down and say, this is how I'm feeling right now. And why might that be is like the second step. So something really basic. I also love, I'm not a CBT therapist, cognitive behavioral therapist. I use some CBT tools though. And I just really think the sort of psychodynamic attachment work is necessary to pair with CBT unless somebody is really just wanting to achieve their goal. Like I want to do this, I want to do this. And in that case, CBT is very effective. But I say all this because I love this CBT tool. It's just the negative thought tracker,
mhm.
and it's like, there's more columns and it's more nuanced, you'll see, but it's like negative thought. Oh, how does this make me feel when I have this thought? Oh, bad. Okay, why might that be? What is the evidence as to why this thought you're telling yourself? They're making fun of me. I'm not saying anything worthwhile. Like whatever negative thought it is, what is the evidence as to why that's not true? And there's more steps and how does that make you feel? But I love this column, especially because people are like, oh, there's a lot of evidence. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, CBT thought tracker. I love this card deck that I have. Gosh, I'm blinking on her name, but it's just a coping skills card deck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's like fun. I'll just kind of pull it out, or I'll have the client pick one for the week. If they're feeling really overwhelmed. I like that tool as well. But there are so many, but I'll stop at three.
That's fair. Love it. Love it. And I'll try to share examples so people can follow along as they.
Yeah.
Um, and I just want to say too with the CBT, I think, because I do practice CBT
Yeah.
myself, but I will say that I do think it's limited. So like some of what we're talking about, so when you were talking about I don't know if I'm going to do it right,
Yeah, yeah, the little brain, yeah.
but the prefrontal cortex are right here. That's a lot of where some of these CBT tools sit. And so when
Yes.
you're talking about checking your evidence and things, it's all kind of a very logical. And so I do think CBT has a good basis in kind of the logic, like the
Yes.
reframing of behaviors or thoughts or things that you want to change, which then leads to
100%.
feelings,
Mm-hmm.
say like, be happy. Why are you sad? Be happy. Like that's not gonna
Totally.
work. But if we change the way we're thinking
Totally.
about it or behaving, then we can change it. So
Yes. And see, and that's why I said, like, God, CBT is so effective, for what it's effective for. And I have this trauma lens, and CBT actually I've seen be so effective for people who are like, I can't sleep. But I'm like, well, let's start with these, core tools. Um, and then I, as a trauma therapist, will incorporate the other stuff. But oh my gosh, yeah. I've actually, people have come to see me for various things, and I've actually referred them out to a CBT therapist because I'm like, this actually would be perfect for you. So, yeah, 100% agree.
I totally love that you're making this point too, because this is part of the reason for the interviews is, like even my dad recently, he was like, there's so many different things that people do within therapy. I had no clue, but it's like you really can find the type of tool, the type of modality, the type of
Yes.
clinician that is going to resonate for you, that is the work you need. And we all just
Yes.
need different versions of that.
Totally. And it's so fun, might be a weird word, but it's so fun to support a client in that. It's not like, oh, just come stay with me because you found me. It's really rewarding to be like, you might really benefit from this. And then, because how would a client know who doesn't, we have the background info of all these modalities. So anyway, it feels very good too to be like, actually, this might be perfect for you. Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. That is our clinical portion of the interview.
Okay.
Are you ready to be seen?
I'm ready to be seen after I say one addendum or addition
Okay.
to really briefly, your question. What do I wish people would know about therapy? I just thought of something.
Oh, okay.
I wish people would know that AI is not a therapist
Yeah.
and there's nuances to it. And that really, really worries me.
Yes.
But that's the last thing I'll say. Now I'm ready to see.
Well, I do have one follow-up question.
Please.
Why does it worry you? Because it worries me as well. And I think there's like tools that AI can be around skills building, those
100.
things. And what worries you about the like, because there's like, I don't know if you know the AI Ash or whatever, the one that's like billing itself as an actual AI therapist. Yeah.
Oh, God, I wasn't even familiar with that one. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's just, I hate to sound so, I don't want to sound dramatic or alarmist, but I'll say a fact. People are dying currently that are using things like ChatGPT or AI as a therapist, or what should I do? Or should I literally something as severe as should I end my life? And because there's this artificial intelligence saying yes, or here's, my thoughts, it's really, really, really scary. And so I just think that there's a nuance around emotion and cues and life experience and all of that that has to go with this work. And so, anyway, that's my shameless plug. But I just thought of it and I wanted to say it out loud.
Love it. I love it. I love it, and I agree with you. I
Yeah,
think there's the AI is mostly positive, like they tend to skew positive and they tend to agree with you and double down on that, which
right,
they're not trained to necessarily do.
right, exactly. I know, right? And that's kind of what we spoke about earlier, Keely, right? It's sort of like just reinforcing. So you can kind of come with everything, but AI is like, sure, yeah, uh-huh, yes. And then is that really doing you a service? So anyway, that's a different talk show, I guess, but
Uh, but something very important. Okay,
totally.
so this is what I call my being seen questionnaire. We're going to
Oh,
start with an easy one, which is what is something that's making you happy right now?
oh, what's making me happy right now is I'm literally looking out of the window as I think, but it's raining and it hasn't been raining in a while and it's making me very happy right now. Like in
With
this
you.
moment.
I'm
Yeah,
with you. We can always use the rain for
I
sure.
know.
Okay, what is your favorite app?
Oh, my favorite app. I I'm recognizing my own bias and maybe I'm like trying to skew this therapy wise, but I love Headspace.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I just love it's like 10 minutes for those of you who don't know. It's there's a lot of pushback, I think, when I talk about mindfulness or just grounding or breathing or meditation, and people are like, "Oh, Christina, I don't know," and I'm like, "Just try it out." And it's just this 10-minute little bit of time, and I use it myself sometimes because I like the voice. Yeah, just you get 10 minutes to yourself, and I really like that app.
Mhm. Yeah, have you ever watched the Netflix one for Headspace?
No.
Yeah, so they have two. They've got like a general one, and then they have a sleep focused one. And they're
Oh.
like 25 minutes long, but it's at least the original one was the main founder guy, I forget his name, but and he's talking through, and so they'll talk about like how to think about anxiety like as a cloud passing or whatever, and then
Oh,
end it
nice.
with like a mindfulness practice. I think it's actually
Oh,
like
love that. Oh, I thank you. I'm gonna share that tool with people and check it out.
yeah, but it's all headspace. It's all the same because I
Oh, awesome.
yeah, and I think to your point, like mindfulness can be a lot more accessible than people think it can be because people
Yes.
think you're supposed to just sit there and do nothing for a while, and it's like
Right.
these tools that you can focus your energy on noticing things, or it doesn't just have to be mind blank all the time.
Totally. Like level 10 meditation. That's really hard to achieve. Yeah. That's why I love the app because I'm like, just try
Sure.
it. And people are like, oh, I really like that. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, beach or mountains?
Oh, this is so it's it's so hard. My moon is in Gemini, so maybe that's why I entered this. But I grew up at the beach. I love the beach, but then I go to the mountains and like lived in Mammoth just so I can be there and snowboard and like, but also I love them both.
Sure.
I would say you're asking me, I'd say beach, but I'm like, ooh,
With a little asterisk.
yeah. I mean, like, hello, like I'm like
Oh
Mammoth
yeah, there you
Mountain, California. So I'm like, oh,
go. Fair. You can choose both.
thank you, Keely.
All right, what is one thing movies never get right?
Marriage.
Hmm. What do you mean?
Again, recognizing my bias as a couple service. I don't know why I went straight to like romantic, whatever, rom-coms or something, but that it's like happily ever after, and someone must get what is it? Swept off their feet, or um, then it's just great. And not all movies are like this, obviously, but I think the overall arc sometimes is just not
Yeah.
pretty pink bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Or you know, like almost the hero's journey. Then there's like a thing, but then you like get past it, and then you're like fine. And it's like, oh, you still have to work every day. That's what I would say.
For sure. For sure. I agree. Okay, what's the best way to relax for you?
Oh, the best way to relax is doing something physical.
Mhm.
Um, so relaxing, right? So maybe not like elliptical fiercely. I mean walking. I'm such a mover.
Uh-huh.
Walking, stretching, yoga, or just like dancing, doing this is really, I just need to get it out of my body. And so that's very relaxing to me. Maybe this will prove my other question leans towards beach, but going to the ocean, going to the water. Yeah, that's a big one. I need to, I'd say this to clients too. If it works for them, great. If not, that's fine. But it just really helps me to be reminded of this like vast expansiveness, and I'm just like this tiny thing, and everything's gonna be fine. So that's relaxing. I love to cook.
Hmm.
Speaking of mindfulness, that is a mindful
Yes,
practice for me, right?
for sure. Yeah,
It
love it.
doesn't have to be like, cooking is so relaxing to me. I love that. And I love to read as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any good book recommendations that you recently read that
Oh, I'm like, I do
are
this
not all
thing.
therapy related?
Yeah, I do this thing, which I think a lot of us do, where it's like there's clinical reading and then there's like, just ourself reading. But I recently read The Agony and the Ecstasy for the first time.
I've never read it. No.
It's what is it? It's like a biographical novel of Michelangelo.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it just was like really, and I will admit I'm a nonfiction girl. I'm a nonfiction girly. You know, Having said that, I just loved it, and it reminded me. I'm like, yeah, go read some like not only nonfiction. It was just whimsical, and it was about his life, but it's loosely based, but it's also a novel. It just was so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
That was like a bonus question there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you have a dream trip location, somewhere you want to go?
Oh, I'm just, yes, I am fortunate enough to have been able to travel to some dream locations like Paris, my number one. And, but, Japan is
Mhm.
next on the list. And then I think hopefully coming up soon. So that will be like a dream come true because I've never been.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't been either. I've heard amazing
Yeah,
things, but
I
never been
know. I know. Yeah.
with you. Okay, what advice would you give your younger self?
So much. I would say, um, you're doing great. a little pep talk. You're doing great. It gets better. And yeah, keep like you're doing something right by cultivating and prioritizing your friendships and relationships. So keep doing that. You're doing great. It gets better. And it's okay not to have all the answers right now or ever. Yeah.
Fair.
Hmm. Yeah.
Fair. Love it. Okay, out of the four seasons, which one's your favorite?
Oh, again, see, it's like, actually, this is interesting because I was like, beach, mountains might be like summer, winter, but I love autumn,
Uh-huh.
fall, what have you. Like, we're almost in it in San Francisco, right? As you know, I just love it. It's the best of all worlds, especially here because we still have some warm days and stuff. But I just love, yeah. I'm like, oh, you get cozy. And what was that term? It was like a Danish term or something. Anyway, New York Times was like, this is the word for that cozy feeling. I'm like, yes, that.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. As soon as we hang up, I know I'm going to think of it. But I
Nice.
love fall.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. This one's a little bit of a thinker, but what would be the worst superhero power to have?
Oh, I love these questions. The worst,
Yeah.
the worst superhero power to have, maybe it's just because I'm looking up at like apartment buildings, would be to be able to see through walls. Like, I don't want to see that, whatever it is. That might be terrible.
Great answer.
I
That would
want
suck.
nothing to do with that. Yeah, I don't want to see through walls or buildings.
Fair. Nobody said that yet. That's great. Okay, what is an animal that resonates for you?
Oh gosh, I'm obsessed with owls. Um, uh, they're
Wise owl
just
kind of thing.
the wise owl, and I don't think necessarily that I'm wise at all. I've always been obsessed with them. My middle name's Minerva, and
Oh,
yeah, so it's like, okay, Minerva's owl. Is that why I don't chicken or egg? But they're just wise and all-knowing, and they like are up on top and they're looking down, not in a judgmental way. They're just like, I just know.
uh-huh.
And they're I'm obsessed with owls, but I guess it resonates for me just because I've been told like I can be very outgoing and talkative and verbose, but I've also been told an observer.
Uh,
And sometimes I'm just like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those owl boxes? They like people will create these boxes because they hunt like our yard, for example, has gophers everywhere that like dig up the
Oh,
and the owls will like swoop in and get them. So people will put up boxes. It's like an owl tower so that they can
oh
like
my
look over.
gosh.
Yeah,
I need to go look at them. I want to go look at owls all day. Oh my gosh.
pretty cool.
That
Pretty
is pretty cool. Oh, good to know
very
that
very
those
unique
exist.
animal, for sure.
Nice.
Okay, so this is the final question.
Okay.
When you look back at your life, what do you hope you'll be able to say?
Gosh, Keely, these are great questions. I'm
Thanks.
like, kudos to you.
Thank you.
When I look at my life, yeah, I want, I hope I will be able to say I lived it to the fullest.
Mhm.
I helped a lot of people along the way, and I brought joy. And I brought joy to not maybe everyone, but some.
Yeah,
That would be what I want like to say. And
yeah,
I made a difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to ask you all the same ones, but I know I know this is not that show.
Some other time, perhaps.
I know. If there's anyone you want to answer, please feel free.
Thank you. Thank you. Off the top of my head, no, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Totally.
because I hear people's answers to these, and there's a little pieces of every person's that I'm like, oh yeah, that actually is really interesting, and
Totally.
resonates. You know.
I would probably be fascinated hearing like 30 different of these answers. Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you, Christina. You are officially seen.
I'm officially seen today. Thank you, Keely, for seeing me today.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I will include in the notes of all this, I will include the information of how to get in touch with Christina for anybody
Yeah.
who are listening. That said, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure that you mention, or we covered a lot, but if there's
Yeah.
anything else before we hop off here.
We did cover a lot. No, I just therapy's awesome.
Yeah.
It can be. I love my work and my job, and I think that if and I don't know if anyone's listening or is having questions or like maybe dancing around with the idea, I'm like, try it. And I always say, like, find a therapist that works for you. Like you were saying, Keely, not only the style and the modality, but just like the personality. Find someone you vibe with,
Yes.
and I would just encourage people to do that because it's just like fascinating. And I've been on both sides, but yeah, I just think it's awesome.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. Totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Ditto. All the therapists are like, ditto.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Christina.
You're so welcome, Keely. Thank you. Take good care.